Hey, it's Pastor David. I'm here with our Thursday at 3 update, and today Micah Boshears has joined us. She is the Director of Communications at our church. Welcome, Micah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Micah, I am just amazed that you have been with us almost 7 years to this point. That's a long time. You've seen
Has
a lot
been
change.
yes, it's been quite the journey, and I'm still excited to be here. So
I think you started as an intern and kind of worked your way up, and now you oversee this kind of huge, vital part of being a church family. Thank you for your work and for your presence and leadership in this.
yep, well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, today I want to take a look at the online viewing for worship. Get some of those questions. We're having our home meetings right now. We're just started off this second week coming up, and folks want to know kind of where we stand in terms of people looking and watching worship online.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and share screen with you guys so I can show you some numbers. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. So these are our online worship views for 2023. So in this first chart over here, we see, our weekly average, and this is for both the 9 a.m. and the 11 a.m. service combined. And you'll see that throughout the year, we stayed pretty consistent between 250 and 300, with the yearly average being 277. Of course, we see a little dip in the summer months, but then ramp back up in August and of course through December with Advent. So it's good to see that our numbers have, remained consistent, and even, go up toward the end of last year.
Now
Um,
that's number of computers. That's not number of people, correct?
Correct. So we don't know. I mean, it could be, 3 people, 4 people per household. It doesn't tell you exactly how many people are on each device, but these are number of devices for the views.
All right, great.
Yep. And then over here, so we have the breakdown between services. So the average for 9 a.m. for last year and the average for 11 a.m. for last year. You'll see they're really very close. That just shows us that, there's two different audiences and people prefer to worship in the way that they want to see it. So it's cool to see that those numbers are pretty consistent across the two services.
One of the
And
things you reminded me is that those numbers are not 134 at 9 a.m. on Sunday,
mhm.
but 134 over the week, correct?
That's correct. Yeah. And then you'll see, a much higher number throughout the week as we go on. So people want to worship at different times and what's convenient for them. And this platform allows them to do it. So and then this last chart right here just shows the duration. So how long people are watching our services. So this has remained very consistent since we started streaming back in 2020, around 20 minutes. So this shows us that people might be clicking in, clicking out of the worship service, or, watching, their favorite hymns, and then maybe the sermon, or, bits and pieces that they are drawn to during the service, but maybe not the entire thing in length.
Yeah, that was helpful to me. I guess I just really didn't think about it till today. We were in a meeting and you were reminding us that, people are watching at different times of the week. They may get on and only watch a part of it because they're not watching it live. And so they're watching the parts that fit. And so an average would mean that someone could be on it for the whole service or someone could be on it for 3 minutes. And so that's kind of how that plays out. Is that I'm understanding that correctly?
Absolutely. Or even if you have bad connection and say you drop out for a minute and you get back on, that will all kind of vary in how much, our average duration. So you're absolutely correct.
Well, it makes it interesting. It makes it challenging to try to figure out how to kind of count. One of the traditional ways Methodists have kind of checked vitality is how many people, how many fannies are in the seat of the pew, right? And it's hard to know when you say, oh, there's 142 computers watching at 11 o'clock and they're coming in and out. We don't know kind of what that true number represents. The other day I went back and I looked at the 11 o'clock worship attendance in 2013, almost 11 years ago. And that was 223 at 11.
Wow.
So 2023, 10 years later, our average was 197 plus 142 views online. And how does that play out? It's maybe about the same or a little more. It's very difficult to assess that. So it's very interesting. It's also interesting to me that in this average, in our culture today, in the way that people's attendance has changed over COVID these last few years, is that the average person who considers themselves a regular attender attends worship in person 1.4 times a month.
Mhm.
So, they may come once or twice and be considered a regular attender. And so all of that to me is to say online is here to stay. I'm thankful, I'm grateful for the church. We pivoted during COVID. We weren't doing it online. We pivoted through COVID. Your work and Dustin's work and so many other people's work to help us get to this online platform. And it's here to stay because we have significant numbers still tuning in and we have different worship attendance patterns. So, what are some of the other ways, or one of the ways, Micah, that you see online being used for worship?
Yeah, I think that this is, how people are shopping churches now. So when new people
Mm,
come to us, we've had a number of people that will say, I watched you online one or two, three times before I even came in person to really
right.
see what it was about. And, even some of those people ended up joining the church. So I think that this is, expanding our reach, but we have to keep that in mind when we're thinking about the content that we're sharing online.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. So we do have people that watch every week faithfully from Georgia, and we have people that watch every week faithfully from California. What does
Mhm.
it mean to be a part of the family when you don't reside in Winter Park or Maitland or Orlando? That's
Mhm.
that's an interesting thing. How do we figure that out? Also, as you say, um, we live in an age where uh, people have been hurt by the church. There's different things that have happened in the name of religion, and so it's more safe. It's safer to check something out, see what it looks like, to see if that indeed is going to be a place that's a place of judgment or a place of acceptance. And people do. That's how people now look for church. They look online first. I do that when I go to restaurants. I do that when I go to the store, and I do that when I go to church. I look online first. I think one of the challenges, what you just referenced, is the content. In that I'm very aware as a pastor when I preach or when I get up in church and make an announcement or a prayer that was not just the people in the room, that there are people across the community that are watching and evaluating what we say or do not say about a matter that is of interest to them. And so we have our weekly worship service planning, as you know, Mike, and we actually spend time almost every week saying, should we respond to this event in the community? Should we say something about this happening in the community? And sometimes not saying something is saying a whole lot. And so one of the things that we've been challenged with in this is not only not having everybody in the room, but what is our message now that it's out in public and so forth. So I'm very also aware, Micah, that at this point we have 4 generations at least in the worship space as we're worshiping, and every one of those generations wants to communicate differently. My parents, they phone call, right? They're picking up some technology. My mom is starting to text, but I tend to text. I'm going to text. If I communicate with someone, I text. My children, they'll use Instagram if they're going to connect with somebody, or TikTok. And so, what are some of the challenges that you and your team have in helping kind of a broad and diverse family uh, get in touch and connect?
Yeah, I mean, we all like to receive communication in a different way. So, you mentioned our youth might prefer to, receive it through social media channels. Well, some people might prefer, a paper
Mm,
newsletter or receive their information that way. And it's not just much the platform, but it's also how we're altering the
mm,
message to fit that platform and to fit how people want to hear it. Some say, attention spans are a lot less nowadays
mm.
because of how people scroll through social media. So, how do you say a message in a minute or 2 minutes or less, but still make it effective and still get your point across? So it's definitely a challenge.
It's hard to sort through all the information that comes at us. I think, what do they say? There's more information in a daily paper than there was in a lifetime, 200 years ago or 100 years ago. We meet more people in a day than people would have met in a lifetime, 100 years ago. And so we just have all this stuff coming at us. And when my kids were a part of their college now, but they're in the school system, I mean, I'd get like 37 phone calls or text from the school system every day. Only exaggerating a bit, among all the different things. How do I sort through all that information, all the things? How do I find what I need? And so that's really a challenge, and particularly in a church where we have a lot of members who have a lot of mobility. We have folks that travel a good deal. They're gone for the summer. How do they get that information in a way that's usable for them? And it really depends. on them. Our system's kind of designed, unless we wanted to employ 3 or 4 people, that's all they did. It depends on them making sure we know how they want to receive information. If they change addresses, if they change their phone number, if they want to get this email, I've changed, emails how many times, right? So, how do they get to the church and make sure that we know how they want to receive information and where?
Well, it's as simple also as just calling the front office, or you can email us, or simply log into your Realm account and, mark, there's a part how you can put preferred communication. So you could do that through Realm as well. So, but it's as simple as just calling us and letting us know how you would like to be communicated with.
Micah, I know you're really smart. I just figured you knew by osmosis that I changed my email account. You didn't know that?
I didn't know. No,
No, okay.
I try to be a mind reader, but I'm
Oh,
not
okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate the excellent work that you're doing and just all that you're doing to lead us and knowing and kind of different platforms. And, because I have a platform that I go to and use, uh, I don't always see all the other platforms. I honestly don't look at Facebook very much. I don't look at TikTok. I look at Instagram, or I look at my text. And so, we all have different. I don't look at my mail. I look at the website. So we all have different ways. I don't know all, but it's a huge amount of work that you're doing with your team. And thank you. I just want to close with this note I received. It was actually yesterday. A lady that from our town. She says this offering is an appreciation for the online services sponsored by FUMCWP. I enjoy them and they allow me to worship wherever I am. I'm somewhat limited in my ability to get out and about, and so these services are very special to me. And so just a reminder of just the blessing that your work and the online services are. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll see everyone else on Sunday. Take care and God bless.